Hi, welcome to another edition of I Dig Day Trading. It is Monday, August 10th, 2020, and it's about almost noon. We're going to go over about three stock ticker symbols, we'll call it, three trades. I only did one, but there was three I was looking at. We'll start off with HOTH, HOTH Therapeutics Incorporated, and they're a biotech stock that had really favorable news in the morning in the pre-market. They issued a press release talking about how they submitted a patent to have the intellectual property rights for a technology for a COVID-19 breathalyzer. Those aren't their exact words. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but it's something to detect COVID through, measuring your breath, we'll say. I'll get to it in a moment, but as you can see, I think people started reading the press release and noticed that it was a little far-fetched. But however, when they put out the press release at around 8 in the morning today, it spiked, from 290s to almost $5, within a few minutes. So this begs the question, that when you're finding news, favorable news, through whatever news scanners you're using, do you place a trade? Just say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to place a trade because this thing might all of a sudden be an amazing thing. And you would have time to get out as it was going down because, we're looking at 5 minutes later, it was down from almost $5 to $4. And then a few minutes later, like literally 15 minutes from the news, it was down to 390. You would have had some time to get out if you were. But the problem is, I think, is even if you got the news and when you wanted to put the trade in, you probably would have bought it up here because by the time you could execute your order, after you've read the news or been alerted about the news, you probably couldn't have got it in, So I think that's why a lot of so-called day trading gurus say not to try and don't worry about trying to be the first with the news and get in here and then, oh, look at that, I got all this. So it faded. I waited for the open to see what it would do. I was ready to buy it. It was a low float stock, which made me feel confident that something could happen. As you can see, very little happened. It's been just kind of consolidating in the low threes. Some people might call this a day one, green candle, which means, it might be something to look at the end of the day today to maybe buy and hold overnight. But I'm thinking this press release is kind of fluffy. But I've seen it before where like you got a fluffy press release and people still get excited about it later, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it. So let's get to the one where I did do a trade on. That's Now, HOTH, let me just say, HOTH I found on my own, so I was kind of psyched about that because it had potential. It definitely had potential. TRVN, I was alerted in the chat room that I belong to. This one was a high float. It had about 100 million shares in the float, and it got FDA approval. Yeah, that's a 4-hour chart. Let me go to a 2-day chart. It got FDA approval right here at almost 8 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm sorry, almost 8 o'clock in the evening on Friday. And now this is something I find a little shady. So the news was released on Friday about them getting FDA approval about some sort of pain management drug, that is maybe better than using something that's addictive like an opiate. And as you can see, in after-hours trading on Friday, before the news, almost an hour before the news, it spiked from like $208 to 378, and then it gapped up over the weekend to 450. And that was because it looks like there was an article over the weekend about 5 penny stocks to watch on Robinhood and all that. Got people excited about it. So it did this sideways stuff today. And I always want to know how people can trade stuff at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I guess you got to find a certain broker. My broker only lets me trade it starting at 7 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. Anyway, it kind of downtrended, even though it made another announcement about its FDA approval. It got a little bit of a bump from it, from high 3s to low 4s, and it just kind of kept downtrending. Now, let me tell you something. The problem I have with the chat room is they definitely give you good heads ups about some stocks that are moving in pre-market. Problem is, I always get alerted like around 15 minutes before the market opens, which doesn't give me enough time to do the quote-unquote due diligence and look at the chart history, really look at the quality of the news, look at the technicals, look at the fundamentals, see what the float looks like, see what where resistance and support might be, and then figure out plan your entry and exit and all that wonderful stuff. Whereas with HOTH, I had the time to do that, because I found it on my own. I started at like 6, 7 in the morning, which I'm in Spain, so that's only like 12 noon, 1 o'clock noon. So I had time to kind of really analyze what was going on, and I enjoy doing that. But on the other hand, it's frustrating when you analyze stuff and then nothing happens. But there's days when things do happen and you make some money, so it's okay. So, but on this one, I actually did a trade on because HOTH I realized wasn't going to work, and I looked at TRVN, and at the open, it did something kind of interesting. And let me see if we can zoom in a little bit. And I thought it was going to be a dip and buy candidate, and it wasn't. It kind of was, but I wasn't quick enough. I was quick enough on getting the bottom at about 9:32 in the morning. I'm sorry. 2 minutes into the open, I watching level 2 and watching the price action. I watched it drop pretty quick, in 2 minutes to this level, about $3.33, and I got in at $3.35. And I felt like a hero because in the next minute it went from $3.35, which I bought it at, to almost $3.50, and then it topped up at $3.56. And I was trying. I put a limit sell order at $3.57, so I missed it. And why did I put that limit order in to sell? Well, I was watching level 2, and I had a feeling like with 100 million in the float, and it seemed like there was just a lot of resistance, I figured maybe my best shot was getting 6, 7, 8% gain. Of course, I didn't get the order filled, and then it dropped. And I watched it struggle, and then I watched the level 2, and it just looked like it was just hitting too many walls of sellers. So I sold it at 9:38, literally 6 minutes later. Which I can find right here, right about here. I sold it for $3.26 down in here, and that was like a 2.6% loss. Nothing to worry about, nothing to cry about. It was a good try. I got in good right here on the dip. I just made my limit sell order just a penny too high to get it filled. And as you can see, if I held longer, I could have actually made a small gain of a few percent if I held it to almost 10 o'clock. But as you can see, it really faded after that. So, and what's it doing now? I mean, we're now at 310. It tried to make another rally up to 327, but it's well below the VWAP, and it's just one of those things. Their news, I thought, was like good news. It was like bona fide good news, but like a lot of these things, they get priced in, and in the pre-market was the real spike. $4.20. At 7 o'clock in the morning, and then after it was down to about 3.35, which is actually what I bought it at in the pre-market. Same as the pre-market, whatever. Point is that the best sometimes you can do is like just be set up for the best case scenario with all the right variables in place. And maybe it worked, maybe it won't work. The last one I want to talk about is MCRB. The only reason why I'm going to talk about this one is that this one went pretty much so supernova and halted like, I don't know, 6-7 times. I was alerted about it in the chat room. The crazy thing about this one is, and look at a 1-year chart for this one. I mean, look at this. It's just a flatlining stock. And some of the things I've been learning is that these are kinds of long-term charts you kind of, when you see this, you want to avoid a stock like this sometimes. Because it doesn't have a history of spiking and dropping and spiking and dropping and having those potential spikes or potential dips or panics, and then they bounce. Or if you're a short seller, you can ride the wave down, so to speak. And so it's pretty crazy that for a good year, it was ranging between everything between $2.50 and $6, and then all of a sudden it just went nuts. Like, it had some news last month at the end of the month about some of their earnings, nothing substantial, and something crazy happened where I don't know what happened, but let's look at a 2-day chart real quick on this one, MCRB. I did look at their news, and basically what they had positive news about a phase 3 study on CDI infection, some drug that they finally got past phase 3. And I guess if you get past phase 3, that's a big deal in terms of getting your FDA approval. I think there's 3 phases, and that's the last phase. But nothing associated with COVID. Nothing associated with cancer, which, those kinds of companies that are trying to find a vaccine, cure, treatment, whatever you want to call it, for those kinds of debilitating diseases, we'll say, those tend to create a lot of this kind of price action where you go from $9 to $33 in less than a day. So what happened here? Right here, they announced their positive results for their phase 3 study at about 6:20 in the morning, and it went from $6.70 to $14. And this is in pre-market. We're talking 6:40 in the morning, which I can't trade at. I can only start trading at 7. Whatever, it's not a big deal. But there are brokers out there that that let you trade much earlier. Then other news outlets started picking up on their move, which probably alerted more people, because then it spiked up even more to 17 by 7:30 in the morning, and they got more news about their gain. They've been gapping up in the pre-market, and they're moving in the pre-market. So this one I really wasn't paying that much attention to. I was alerted about it in the chat room, and I was just like, I already felt like it was up too high. Right here at market open, it was at $20, and I thought, and it was a medium float. I think you can call it that. It was 38 million shares in the float, and I was thinking it's already up a lot, man. It was yesterday. It was at $4.60, and it was up at 20, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't want to chase it. I want to see if it drops. Maybe I'll buy if it drops, but it didn't even. It dropped maybe a little bit here in the open around $18. $19, but let's go a little closer. And so it just halted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. This thing halted, and it got as high as 33, and now it's back down to 20. So this is something definitely to watch at the end of the day. Maybe something to buy and hold overnight, because maybe. I don't know if this is good, how strong this news is, but maybe it'll carry. We'll see, and maybe I'll go for it. And if I do, I'll let you know how it went. All right, thanks for listening, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. All right, take care.